Don't blink, because some of these stories will shock you and a few will break your heart. We're stepping into the dark hallways of the alien universe to honor the actors who are no longer with us. From quiet farewells to sudden losses, each story matters. Stay with me till the end so you don't miss the most surprising name on this list. And tell me which role still gives you chills. Ready? Let's walk through the airlock together. John Hurt gave the world one of the most famous scenes in movie history as Kane, the first victim of the chest burster. His pain felt real because he threw everything into that moment, and it changed horror forever. But his career was much bigger than a single scene. He moved from classics like The Elephant Man in 1980 for the modern hits and never stopped working. In his final years, he fought pancreatic cancer, and he passed at 77. Watch that dinner table scene again, and you'll see why he was a legend. He made us believe the impossible and feel it in our bones. Ian Holm, calm and chilling as Ash, taught fans that the scariest monsters can look human. His switch from helpful officer to cold machine is still a masterclass in acting. Away from Alien, he gave rich, human roles for decades, from Chariots of Fire to Bilbo Baggins. He faced Parkinson's-related complications in later life and died at 88. What remains is his quiet power. Even when he barely moved, you could not look away. Dean Stanton made Brett feel like a real working man on a real ship. He wasn't a hero in armor. He was a tired tech with a cat and a job to do. That's what made his loss hit so hard. Stanton worked for a lifetime, bringing soul to every small moment. He died in his 90s after a long, full career. When you hear, Kitty, Kitty, you can still feel the tension of that dripping chain room. That's the mark of an actor who knew how to hold a scene. Yaphet Kotto stood tall as Parker, the engineer who said what everyone was thinking. He gave the movie a backbone, steady, direct, and brave. Kotto broke barriers across film and TV. From Bond villain to powerhouse roles in Midnight Run and Homicide, Life on the Street. He died at 81, leaving behind a path many others now walk. Listen to the way he challenges orders in the med bay scene. He gave that moment truth and weight. Bolaji Badejo was the alien. His long frame and controlled movement turned a man in a suit into a nightmare. He wasn't a trained actor. He was an art student with a rare bill and a gift for stillness. He learned to move like something not from this world, slow, smooth, silent. After the film, he went home to Nigeria to live a quiet life and focus on art. He died at 39 due to sickle cell complications. You never see his face in the movie, but you feel his work in every shadow. Without him, the creature would not have felt alive. Bill Paxton brought Private Hudson to life in Aliens and gave us lines fans still quote every day. He could be loud and scared and funny at the same time, and somehow still brave when it counted. Paxton's career stretched across hits like Titanic, Twister, and Big Love. He died at 61 after surgery complications, and the outpouring from friends and fans showed how much he was loved on and off set. Rewatch his arc in Aliens, panic, humor, courage. That's a full journey in one movie. Al Matthews was not pretending when he played Sergeant Apone. He was a real Marine, decorated in war. And it shows. He gave Aliens a true military backbone with one barked order and one cigar bite. He later appeared in Superman 3 and The Fifth Element and stayed a fan favorite at conventions. He died at 75 in Spain. When you hear asses and elbows, you hear the steady voice of someone who has actually led people through fear. Trevor Steedman played Wierzbowski in Aliens, but his larger impact came through stunt work. He made fire, falls, and fights look real across major films, then stayed close to the fan community for years. He died at 62 after a stroke. When a scene makes you flinch because a blast or a fall feels too real, someone like Steedman took that hit so the story could live on. Tip Tipping was a Royal Marine Commando before he became a stunt legend. In Aliens, he appears as Private Crow, but behind the camera, he helped make action feel fearless in films like Indiana Jones and Bond. He died in a parachute accident at 34, while doing what he always did, pushing the limits to bring us thrills. Every time you see a stunt and think, how did they do that? Remember, there was a real person trusting their training to pull it off. Brian Glover came to Alien 3 by way of the wrestling ring and the British stage. As the hard-edged Officer Andrews, he brought muscle and bite to a prison full of broken men. He had a voice you could pick out of a crowd and a presence that filled rooms on film and in theater. He died at 63 after a battle with a brain tumor. He could make you laugh in one role and chill you in the next. In Alien 3, he did both without raising his voice. Pete Postlethwaite's face could tell a story before he said a word. In Alien 3, he gave the prison colony a soul. You could actually feel grief, faith, and stubborn hope. Across his career, he moved from small British dramas to worldwide hits and earned deep respect from actors and directors alike. He died in his 60s after fighting cancer. Watch the way his eyes change in a close-up. He could shift a scene with a glance. J.E. Freeman made Dr. Wren in Alien Resurrection so cold you could feel the room temperature drop. He had a gift for quiet menace, the kind that doesn't shout but still owns the space. He also left his mark in Miller's Crossing and other tough roles. He died at 68 after stepping away from the industry in his later years. When a villain makes you lean back in your seat, it is often because the actor knows exactly how little to do. Dan Hedaya, the hard-nosed General Perez in Resurrection, gave that film its biting edge of dark comedy and blunt force. Known and loved from a long run of character roles, he could do tough, funny, or both at once. He passed away recently after a long career full of I know that guy moments that always delivered. In Resurrection, the way he stares down chaos tells you everything about that world. Charles Dance, Charles S. Dutton, and many more from the third film are still with us. But it's worth saying this, their work helped carry the memory of those we lost. When you rewatch Alien 3, you can feel how the cast built a heavy, human story around grief, faith, and fear. That weight came from actors who respected the world they were in, and from the legacy of the ones who started it all. The Alien universe also holds a special place for artists behind the camera who have passed. But today, we're holding to the actors' faces and bodies that made the fear feel close. Still, every performance you love was lifted by crews, designers, and stunt teams who risked and worked for months so a single shot would land. That teamwork is why these stories last. If you stood all these actors together in one long line, you'd see a full map of what film acting can be: big swings and tiny choices. A joke that releases your fear, a glare that shuts you up, a soft hey to a cat that makes your heart drop. That's why the losses feel personal even if we never met them. They were in our heads and homes for years. They gave us their best and asked for nothing back except our time. You made it to the end. And that tells me you care about these people and their work. In the comments, tell me which performance in the Alien universe will stay with you forever. And share one small moment, a line, a look, a sound that you still remember. If this tribute meant something to you, please like the video, share it with a friend who loves these films, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into cinema history. Your support keeps these memories alive. See you in the next one, and until then, keep the lights low and the motion tracker on.